good to be doing music, but it's not just going to be music this time out. I've been, when I was in high school, a long time ago, I decided as I started college I'd be a drama major. I did a lot of plays, stuff. And so I went to one of my first college starts, a lot of money spent from my parents as a drama major, and then I didn't finish. I always felt guilty. I'm a Catholic, and so I'm Irish. You put those two things together, guilt is like a DNA. And so throughout this afternoon, there'll be what I call spoken word presentations. And you'll see what they are when we get to them. This first or second song is a song about being present. That's a buzzword in a lot of sort of places these days, spirituality, living in the present, being present. And it's nice to say, hard to do, really hard to do. So hard that I don't think, I'm certainly not natural at it, that I determined I needed teachers. So this song is about 3 teachers that have helped me to be present. First one was a single mom who the child that she was raising was not something she thought was going to happen, and it kind of messed up her plans, but the child taught her how to live presently. And good lesson, and then she passed it on to me. Thank you very much. Next one is a godson of mine. He's in his mid-20s. He happens to have Down syndrome. And he knows how to live in the present. Sometimes we vacation with him and his parents. And I remember I was at a grocery store up north of someplace. And I got out of the car with him, and I just started heading into the grocery store. We had a list, and we were going. He said, "Michael, come back here." And so I came back, and there were some people who were unloading their carts because they'd just been to the grocery store. He said, "This Carl and Janice. I want you to meet Carl and Janice." And they're sort of surprised, and I'm sort of surprised. And but I never would have met Carl and Janice. I would have been in the store before they even, emptied their carts. But he got me back to meet Carl and Janice, and then we had a group hug, just to make sure it was sealed. So you see, I wouldn't be like that. There's another teacher. And the last teacher that I reference here is a dog. You can have a miserable day, and this little doggy come in, no matter how miserable it was, that old tail would wag. Well, thank you for cheering. That was bold and courageous. When did you hear those 2 words? How this will date like this. Bold and courageous. Remember Wyatt Earp? Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp. Bold, courageous. That's something courageous and bold. Yeah, long way he lived and long way, whatever. I just went on, but yeah, it's amazing. Spoken word is about to happen. Are you excited?
Yes.
I've noticed that it ain't easy to age. You probably noticed it too. Those of you who are aging. So I thought I'd kind of categorize and put into sort of verse our situations. This little spoken word is called "In Varying Stages of Disrepair." In varying stages of disrepair, from scary incisions to thinning hair, expanding waist, bulging discs. You should be fine, but there are some risks. Hearing loss, fading sight, rising costs, budgets tight. Duller edge, sharper pain. Something was said. Did somebody explain? Shorter fuse, The GPS says I'm right here in the varying stages of disrepair. Out of breath, into weeds, aching hips, creaking knees. Hurry up, the midday slump. Coffee cup now makes me jump. BP's high, sugar's low, mouth is dry, gout in the toe. Had a snack after lunch, took a nap all crumpled up, woke up locked without a key. No doc can help me. A new age, it would appear, in the varying stages of disrepair. In my thoughts, I see change. Fluttering moths around the flame. Scattered focus. Dodgy will. A lot less purpose, a lot more pills. What was it I came in here to do? I'd commit if I only knew. Walk them all away to the folks. High cholesterol, avoiding strokes. Digital voices call to remind of medical choices and spikes in crime. What to do trades with when and where in these varying stages of disrepair. Of course, everyone knows it could be worse beneath some roses in a hearse. In a way, you just have to laugh. Whatever it takes is whatever you have. You can prepare, always wise, but be aware there are always surprises. Just when you're sure you figured it out, the line blurs, and you start to doubt, till you're absolutely, positively, resolutely in a tizzy. Turn the page. Don't worry or fear. You're just in the varying stages of disrepair. Now, in case that didn't hammer home the point, I had the great honor from 2005 to 2012 to work in a program for the Army Reserve called Strongest Bond, or the Strong Bonds program. It was a program that recognized with all the wars that we've been in from the beginning of this century till now, and particularly the ones in Iraq and Afghanistan, were fueled, or shall we say, those who fought them were often reservists. And the difference in other wars where reservists were families, married men in town or around the country. And what the toll it took on marriages early on became just onerous. And so I was asked to be part of a program in the Northeast called Strong Bonds, and it was to present a weekend where couples could get away. If you brought the kids, there was lots of resources for them. But the whole point was to improve communication and realizing that you're under some stress. Often it was people who were, the term then, and I think it still is now, were downrange. They were in harm's way in active combat situations. And so in doing it very shortly, I realized that I didn't have much material for that. So I did it for a year, talking with an awful lot of vets and reading a lot. And then I wrote an album of songs that were the topics of that cropped up again and again as I talked to them. And that's all the background you really need to know. My hope is, and this is my hope for all the music I do, that there's a sense of tenderizing, a sense of a desire to be there if you can for those who have gone before us And that's what prompted me to do this next song. My father loved baseball. Came from Canada, from Newfoundland. They didn't play it back then, it was a long time ago. But he and his brother went to the library, took out a book on baseball, and learned how to play baseball through a book. And he decided he wanted to be a pitcher, and his brother decided he wanted to be a catcher, and they were a local threat. And he loved it. He had some skill, none of which he passed on to me. How about another word, spoken word? This, yeah, I guess that was a rhetorical question. I'm going to do it anyway. This is probably, I mean, you know, it's a church, and I'm an old guy, and this is probably as, shall we say, risque as I'll ever get. So I just pre-warn you, you know. I know you all can take it, we're adults. But I was sitting in the backyard a while back, and it was summer, right this middle of summer, hot. And I noticed we had a butterfly bush, and there was a bumblebee that jumped onto the purple cone of the butterfly bush. Some of you may be familiar with that. And it was just love at first sight. It was embarrassing. I had to look away. They were just so enwrapped with each other, you know. And it reminded me of that ardor and that love that my wife and I had at the beginning of our marriage. And so I put this together as a kind of a comparison, watching the bee and the flower and remembering our life together. Hope you like it. It's called Bumblebee Love. Yeah. Saw a bumblebee in love on a butterfly tree on a late and lazy summer afternoon. His lover's purple cone ravaged to the bone as they fondled and moaned on their honeymoon. Their delirious dedication attracted my attention. Such devout concentration wrapped up in bliss. There they are. Don't look. Bug and blossom caressed. Each petal was undressed. The kind of ardor that suggests the deepest kiss. The sun was going down, but he kept hanging around. When your one and only is found, you don't want to leave. They wooed and sparked, confessing their true hearts. It was practically dark, would you believe? Finally, he broke from her embrace, flew back to his own place, with the musk of honey taste still on his tongue. In light, the love begins. With dark, the loving ends, and over and over and over when you're young. The beauty and the bumble brought back our early tumbles when kisses quickly stumbled into bed. Your orchid fragrance, my clumsy torrid impatience, the giggling, florid radiance when we went. Summer found us lovers, winter under the covers. Spring we buzzed and hovered like the bumblebee. Autumn we'd go walking, do some serious talking. Hang our hopes up just like stocking on Christmas Eve. There was heat and haze through all our early loving days as bellows brought to blaze the wills that cleave. Children in the womb just postponed our steamy swoon, and as parents we made room for lovers' needs. Countless all the couplings as pleasure replaced suffering, flesh and soul offering of trust. As the years went by, the fire did not die. Though the flames were not as high, they burned well enough. But now some weeks later, much chillier weather, I see the bee and the flower are together again. No passion bells have rung, their huff and puff is done. Just two old lovers who once clung, lying still in the cool wind. Comfort and final need as their life forces recede, and all around the world bleeds in leafy blood. Two passionate companions, ambushed in autumn's canyon, cast off and abandoned like old gloves. No, 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 no. I will not ignore this troubling metaphor. One must walk through the door wherever it goes. We have had our hungry hour like the bumblebee in the flower, clinging to the power that summer knows. But now, winter's on the phone. Snow on head, chill in bones. And the fire that heats our home, that's mostly wood. We know where we have been. No, we can't go there again. But you know what? Young lovers make the best of old friends. And this is good. Who sang that first? It was in the movie. What was the movie? What was the year? It was number one hit.
60, 62.
Earlier than that. First, let's see if we can get who sang it. First, it was Calamity Jane was the movie. Horrible, but definitely that thing. Remember who started Calamity Jane?
Doris Day.
Bingo. So Doris Day sang Secret Love, and it was in 1953. It was the Academy Award-winning song. Anyway. This is a little, what do you call it? Kind of a little sweet. Did the spoken word, did that wonderful romantic tune. At certain points, my wife has said to me, you know, you haven't written very many romantic songs. I guess you're just not inspired, huh? Backpedal, backpedal, backpedal. And my answer, and it sounds like a cave-in, but it isn't. I said, I know my betters. I couldn't top that. That's just exquisite. It's been done. Didn't work, but anyway, you know. This song, it's about, it's a true song, it's a true story. Appears to be sad, but I don't think it is. We've had a lot of jokes about my, well, I've been here about my tendency to write downer tunes, you know. Did you find that sad?
No.
You cooked your goose though, Scott, so I'm going to do another one, so I don't like it. And I don't find it sad either. In fact, I find it almost humorous. It's another true story. That's what happens, you know. Got time just to be with folks. And anyway, I won't go on, but This is a very new song. I won't say anymore. He's so hopeful. Silly boy. Oh, well. One more spoken word. We're coming around the bend. You meant just one. I just have enjoyed this. I repeat it. This is not a true story, but it is a story. Oh my goodness, is it ever? I guess it'll explain itself, so no need to go on. I like a chatty one. It's called Wilfred. Wilfred had apartment 104. He had a 2-room efficiency down in the basement. He worked the graveyard shift at a nearby grocery store, stocking shelves till the crack of dawn. Then on his 3-speed Schwen, remember Schwens? He made his homeward route just as shops were opening up and folks were heading out. He was the only boy his mother finally had. Kind of shy, slow of thought. His sisters ran the home back then with the death of their dad. Eventually, though, all married far away. He moved into this apartment after his mother died. She often told him when they lived together, "Wilfred, someday I won't be around, and you will have to get a place of your own." So that's exactly what he did. He kept to himself most of the time, not being very outgoing anyway. He never married or even learned to drive. His weekly routine was simple and followed faithfully. He'd sleep during the day, then get up and make himself dinner. Macaroni and cheese with sliced hot dogs was his favorite. After cleaning up the supper dishes, which was always his job in his mother's house, he'd make his middle of the night lunch. This consisted of 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with a juice box of mango supreme and a dessert of 2, not 1, 2, not 3, but 2 Vienna fingers. He'd like more fingers, of course, but his mother always told him special treats only stay special when you have just a taste. After that, he'd watch his favorite shows. Most of them were on the Nickelodeon channel before heading off to work. Day after day, it was the same pattern. And you know what? That was just fine with Wilfred. Every morning, while getting ready for bed, he'd hear the sound of each footfall of the folks who lived above his head. Everyone had a different kind of walk, a special shuffle as they'd go off to work. Wilfred never met these people, but from his basement window, he saw them waist to feet. First one, bus driver, the earliest. He was first to go. His gray uniform pants had a black stripe down the side. Sometimes he carried a bag of coins that banged against his knee as he walked down the steps. Second was the motorcycle cop, with his tall black leather boots and squeaked on the steps and clopped on the sidewalk. Then after the policeman was the boyfriend, with his laced-up construction boots. When the weather was nice, spring, summer, fall, he usually wore shorts. Most days, his shiny red pickup truck was parked right out front. Now after him, the nurse with her 2 kids. They had the rooms way on the top floor. Some days she wore teal-colored pants, which made Wilfred a little sad because it reminded him of his mother's last days in this world. The last to leave was the girlfriend teacher with all her books and papers bulging from a canvas tote bag with a rainbow printed on the side. Some Fridays she'd pull behind her a little black suitcase on wheels. After months of watching his neighbors leave in the morning, Wilfred got so he could tell from the sound of their departure whether the night before had been a peaceful one or filled with tensions and troubles. See, peace walked light, sometimes even skipped, while trouble walked heavy, often dragging its feet. Some might say Wilfred was a religious man. He learned his first prayers on his mother's knee. She was so happy, he was so happy, I should say, when they lived together, just the two of them, after his sisters had moved. But cancer changed their plans. Her name was Rosalie. So Wilfred's favorite prayer, makes sense, was the rosary for Rosalie. Every morning before going to sleep, while kneeling at his desk, he would remember bead by bead every one of his neighbors as they left. His mother used to tell him, Wilfred, when you pray for someone in this way, it's special, secret. That's the best kind. But that kind of prayer only you and Father God know about. It's special because it's love only the Father sees. For the longest time, Wilfred prayed for his neighbors this way. He was happy to do it. In fact, doing this helped him deal with missing his mother, for he could almost feel her smile on him as he kneeled. You're such a good boy, Wilfred, she used to say. He could almost hear her say it again as he tucked himself under the covers each morning after his prayers. But, just like his mother told him, the week before she died in the hospital room with the kind nurses in their teal pants. All things in life, even the good things, must come to an end, Wilfred. And so they must. Wilfred's youngest sister got the call. They found her phone number in his shoe. As near as anyone could tell, it was a hidden room. It's very likely his neighbors never knew about it. Wilfred's sisters cleared out his apartment early one afternoon while everyone was still at work or school. It didn't take very long because there wasn't very much. Now this all happened some time ago. Since then, though all have moved away, whenever remembering those days, each former occupant has been heard to say, you know, there was something special about that old place. Indeed there was. It was a special kind of love that was there on his knees, tenderly praying peace to those he'd never meet. A special kind of love only the Father sees. So glad to be with you. God bless you. As Bruce mentioned, if, regardless of the shameless commerce department out there.
Tony's made a table.
Yes, right.
Table.
Tony is the shameless commerce.
Yeah, commerce president.
Yes, and there's a basket if you want to contribute to this. We're not going to pass it because we don't put anybody on the spot, but it's right there at the back view.